Yes, the European Open was difficult to watch. More so literally, not so much on the enjoyable aspect. But before we get into that, good morning, good day, good evening, whichever one it may be for you. Welcome to the Disc Golf Show. My name is Nick. This is episode 25 of the 2026 season. This show is brought to you in part by our local pro shop, Final Nine Sports. If you're in Northern California, Sacramento area, they have two locations, one in Orangevale and one in Rockland. Always support local if you can. However, if you're unable to find what you're looking for, we do have a remedy for that, and that is Disc Golf Deals USA. If you go to discgolfdealsusa.com/discgolfshow, you can save 10% off of your entire order. Some exclusions do apply, but those big ticket items, large orders, save that money while you can. As always, we like to start the show off with good news. That being, congratulations to Seppo and family on their newest addition, a little baby girl. Enjoy it. I'm sure you know that, but enjoy it. Also, on the Paul Macbeth Foundation side for Throw for More, that just ended this last weekend. Well, that just happened this last weekend. Over 70,000 players and almost 9,000 courses were involved, and they raised over $90,000 this year. I know they're projected, they initially wanted to raise 50. They surpassed that very quickly, and they raised over $90,000 across the globe to help push disc golf in underserved areas or where it has yet to be. Moving on, we're going to get through this European Open. There's a lot to go over here. Well, there's some to go over here. But as for the European Open, they did have a press conference. It is a major. Some of the comments were related more so to the OB because there was a lot more OB involved. And that is what would dictate who would end up coming out on top, the person who went OB the least. But as always, Europe always pushes that bar, and they continue to grow the European Open and all the events that they have over there, and it just looks better and better each year. As for FPO, you had Evelina Salonen, who came out strong in the lead and took the lead by 2 over Missy coming out of the gates. She kept her lead of 2 through round 2, but instead of Missy Gannon, it was Kristina Yersikova. I think that was right. In round 3, Kristina ended up pushing into a tie for first. And then we also had a newer name. Well, not new name. We've heard this name in the past. But Julia Force, who's a 14-year-old, sitting in 3rd place. But in the end, we did have Evelina come out on top. Her consistency as of last year into this year has been fantastic. Her putting has increased and gotten so much better recently. And yeah, she adds another one to her list. So shout out to Evelina. She finally gets her career Grand Slam. So she's won all the majors now throughout the time that she's been playing. So shout out to her on this big major victory. Moving on to MPO. Burr took an early lead by 1 stroke over Wysocki. Wysocki was doing some damage out there. And then in round 2, we had Timu Lampinen shooting a course record of 12 down. Of course, this is a course record because this is a new course, new holes, changes, OBs, all that good stuff. And he ended up pushing into second, just 1 stroke behind Burr after round 2. Round 3, Gannon ends up matching that record round of 12 down, and he stays in first, but he increases his lead to a 9-stroke lead going into the final round. So basically uncatchable at this point. He did not have a great final round, and Wysocki was pushing, but he ended up still getting another victory. So this is, I believe, his 5th major title. He won by 4 strokes over Wysocki. He is now a back-to-back European Open winner, champion. And just for reference, he has now won half of the events in 2026, and he just surpassed 6 digits, $100,000 for this year. So, I mean, he keeps pushing that envelope as well. We are curious as to if this continues and will he be able to surpass any of the other GOATs that we know of, namely Macbeth and Climo. And then also, on another note, related more so to Wysocki, he is just under $62,000 away from being the first disc golfer to earn $1 million or more in PDGA all-time career earnings. So that's another record to mark on his list of accomplishments. So we will see. Will that happen this year? We do not. 62,000 in the remaining half year, that might be tough. He'll end up hitting it, but it's just the question of when. We did have Kristen Lott in the booth, and she did great. Very, very knowledgeable. She sounded extremely comfortable there. I'm not surprised at all that she did well. It was a pleasure to be on the listening side of her commenting for FPO. I would like to, I don't know, I would like to see her comment on MPO at some point. I think that would be interesting, though it probably will never happen. But I think this is an easy move for her. And if she ends up doing more commentating, I'm all for it. Coverage. So the cool thing about coverage was not only, obviously, it was streamed on Disc Golf Network, but we did also hear that it was broadcast on a local Estonian TV channel, as well as by Delphi Media, or Delphi Media, the country's largest news outlet. So that's super awesome that they're getting that much coverage over there in Estonia. And hopefully, again, Europe is pushing that envelope when it comes to these large events or any events that are held over there, especially in Estonia. Just some numbers for you. The total purse of this was $121,255. It is the biggest purse in European history, dating back to 2006. The MPO was $86,500 of that, and the FPO was $34,755 of it. First place in MPO ended up getting $16,000, so Burr got $16,000, and then Evelina got $9,500. Also, just percentage-wise, 45 out of 112 of MPO got paid out, so just about 2/3. And then for FPO, 21 of 45 of the players got paid out, so almost half. We can get into the FPO, MPO ROI or anything like that, and there's arguments there as to how much should get invested in FPO versus MPO. That's an argument that's been held for a very long time, but currently that's the state of payout, especially at the European Open, and we'll see if that changes moving forward. One question I did have is why the European Open was not held at the original course in the past. I like the old course. Of course, there are times in which things change and they test things out. This is one of those situations. They did updates at the grounds there where they had the music festival, and they're trying something new. Will it continue? We will see. A couple items of information that I wanted to share with you because I was curious about it was a couple of the monuments or sculptures that they had at the fairgrounds, and one being the concrete structure on one of the holes that the players had to throw over or around. That concrete chamber structure is called the Chromatico. So again, a little lesson here for you, a little something, learn something on here. It was created by Lucas Kune. It is a visualization of the chromatic musical scale. So if you're curious, that is what it was. It's got 12 concrete chambers that represent notes of the piano for one octave. And not only that, it does represent the black and white keys in how it's structured. So really cool to learn that stuff. I like finding that neat, interesting information out. And then in addition to that, you had the statue mainly on hole 18. It is of Gustav Ernesaks, probably slaughtered that. It is his memorial. It was designed by Eke Valley and Velo Lilimets. It was unveiled on July 3rd of 2004, so it's been there for a long time, during the opening of the 24th National Song Festival. He is an Estonian composer and choir leader, and he wrote the unofficial anthem of Estonians during the Soviet era. So, a little bit of knowledge there for you. Do with it what you may. Moving on, it was recently brought to my attention of the differences in my opinions of pros asking for assistance, mainly between how I addressed it in a previous episode for Haley King versus a more recent one for Jessica Gerthy. And I know how that looks. It's obvious. But you know what? I have my own personal opinion. And that comes into play when I report, or when I when I inform you guys of this stuff. My personal opinion will always come down to how I see that person and what they say, how I interpret it. In the case of Haley King, in my opinion, she was coming across entitled in her statement, in her posts, how she's talked about disc golf and some of the courses and her issues with certain more politically lined issues. I don't want to hear, I didn't want to hear that. I don't, you know, yes, we've all got to deal with it, but it's just something that, it's not something that I want to hear. And the entitlement aspect turns me off when it comes to any type of support for a player. When I want to watch somebody play an athletic sport, that's what I want to watch. If I talk to you personally and I want to know more, then great, I can learn more about it or about your points of view and opinions. But overall, that's how I took it. She was also talking about how the money was dispersed between MPO and FPO, and we touched on that just a second ago. We can talk about ROI and how much money MPO brings in versus how much FPO brings in, the coverage. There's an argument there, and this is a person who enjoys watching FPO coverage, does FPO hold back the growth of disc golf for MPO? Because you're committing more energy and effort and time and money into FPO when maybe the ROI isn't as high as MPO. And maybe there's an argument to be had of, if you dump more of that into MPO, then maybe MPO in the future could help grow FPO at a stronger rate in the future. Am I saying that's for sure? No. But could that be? It could, in my opinion. Again, I enjoy watching FPO, so come at me if you want. Doesn't matter. She had stated that they, quote unquote, the sponsors, made it very apparent that in their society, women are expected to call out their touring job a hobby, all while men get to call disc golf a career and get paid like it too. Again, this comes back to whether or not how much money is invested versus how much money is coming in from that division. That's what it comes down to. So any way you look at it, again, this is in relation to the posts that, and ultimately, I was relaying the information that she was asking for money. That's the basis of the topic, and how I personally take it is my right to take it. She doesn't realize that money goes to those that bring in the most money. Examples, just a couple short examples here. Northwest Championship, this is coverage related, not money. Jomez final round coverage for front nine and back nine of the final round of Northwest Championship. MPO had 342,000 views, FPO had 72,000 views. OTB Open, Jomez final round coverage, front nine and back nine combined. MPO had 334,000 views, FPO 58,000 views. So I just don't, my personal opinion is I don't like supporting people who try to play victim. And whether she was or not, that's how it came across to me. Maybe I took it wrong. I'll own it if I did. But moving on. In the case of Jessica Gerthy, she stated how difficult things are getting cost-wise on tour and not wanting to give up on her dream. She didn't come across as pointing fingers, but rather it being a tougher situation altogether. She wasn't blaming people. She wasn't accusing people. And it's just, again, I've been a fan of Jessica for a while. She's from Northern California area, so it makes sense that I would have more. I would lean towards supporting her more. Now, I am unable to support financially as well. So, in the end, neither of them are getting money from me unless I pick up a disc here or there. One shout out I did want to state is to Stacey Ronsley. As much I'd love to see her still compete, she made a tough decision to stop competing. It is a tough decision to stop your dream. I respect her on how she handled the situation. She realized the current state of disc golf. It is still a small sport professionally when it comes to the money being invested, which directly affects how much pros can make. So there's a plethora of reasons or whys that I may support one person versus another in the same situations, and you can do the same. It doesn't hurt me. I don't hate you for it. I won't look down at you for it. You're going to like who you're going to like. You're going to support who you're going to support. So do that. So this can all be seen as how it was relayed as well as received, but I also have the freedom to support who I want and who I don't for whatever reason I choose, as do you as well. Mind you, if I'm unable to help financially, I do so by sharing information along with my opinion via this podcast. So this is something that I can do. And again, I could have not mentioned her at all, Haley, but I did for those of you that want to support. Again, no hard feelings. Moving on, we have an update from Sofia Donica. Let's get away from the funkiness. She did stay stateside due to family medical emergency. We do hope all goes well with her and her family, and we do look forward to seeing her out on competing when the tour does get back over here in the U.S. Another person that stayed away from, well, not Europe as a whole, but stayed away from the major European Open was Simon Zott. So he decided to not go and play the major because either he would have had to go over there and fly back, or not go there and be able to go play the Swedish Open and the Ale Open, which would be his first time playing in Sweden. So he chose to do that. So we will see him this weekend coming up, or this at the Swedish Open. So stay tuned for that. I'm always cheering Simon on. The 2029 World Championship in Estonia, I had a course teaser, a hole 1, possibly teeing off in front of the Kadjord Palace, and it will be the second course to come. There might be a second course to come in 2029, if not earlier. So, that World Champion, again, Europe pushing that envelope. Big announcement. I did mention this, I believe, last episode, but I did want to state it here because today is the early access drop on Steam for Disc Golf Masters, which is the video game on Steam. Some of the content, I'll run through this because it looks great. It's basically the Tiger Woods of disc golf. Solo mode, daily challenges, multiplayer with friends, quick play ranked matchmaking, practice mode, mandatory new player tutorial, character customization, reward systems. As for characters, you can choose Jonathan from Latitude 64, preset character. There's 20 plus discs from real brands, 3 courses with 9 unique layouts, one being Cannon Park, another Minocqua Springs, and the last Boulder Disc Golf Course. Disc collection system, disc bag storage with capacity for up to 9 discs. And also, they want you to play it and report bugs or ask for any features that you think would improve the game. That way they can improve it moving forward, leading up to, ultimately, the availability to play this on consoles, which is what I'm looking forward to, because my little all-in-one can barely manage functioning this game on Steam. Moving on to another collaboration, Upsi and PDGA are doing a collab. Upsi is a Finnish disc golf app. They do scorekeeping, handicaps, and more, and they're celebrating their 10-year anniversary. And so it's kind of cool for them that they agreed with the PDGA to work together. PDGA members will get 25% off a 12-month subscription of Black Premium. So go check that out. Again, the links for all this stuff will be down below. Upsi also announced a collaboration with Parkdly, P-A-R-K-D-L-Y. It's a app slash company that makes it easy to design disc golf course maps. So they actually added that feature directly into the course management tool of Upsi. So if you're curious, go check that out. And last but not least for the news, the Silas Schultz watch. He ended up placing 12th at the European Open Major and jumped up 8 spots and is currently now in 17th place on DGPT standings. So shout out to Silas for a great finish at this major and for that jump on the standings list. If you're curious of your favorite player or some people that you want to follow, we'll have that link to that list down below. That brings us to the question of the episode. This is a little bit, well, it's related to the PDGA. But recently there's some numbers that have been discussed about how much Doug Bjerkes is making as the executive director of PDGA. For me, I'm just throwing this out there. What I read was around $175,000 a year. Basically, that just leads me to the question of how much of a salary do you feel is appropriate for PDGA board members, specifically the executive director? Do you think that's okay? Do you not? Let me know why, whichever way you lean on this. I think Doug's a great representative for disc golf. I think he does a great job, and it's going to take some time to make some changes that actually affect disc golf in a more positive fashion from the PDGA. So I put my faith in him, for PDGA. So let me know. What do you think? What should the executive director make? Before we move on to gear and equipment, guys, do me a favor, hit that subscribe, the like, the share, the notifications, all the goods. I really do appreciate. Thank you so much. Now, we are at gear and equipment, guys. This segment is brought to you by Disc Golf Deals USA. Go to discgolfdealsusa.com/discgolfshow. Get that 10% off of your entire order. Some exclusions do apply, but baskets, bags, carts, large disc orders, that money adds up. So save it while you can. We have a few discs that were approved just yesterday, June 22nd, and that being from the Mockvist discs, their first approved mold. I don't know how I say mold, but it's the Illune or Illune. It looks like a 3D printed disc. So do I say mold? I don't know. Let me know what you think I should call it if it's a 3D printed disc. Discmania had the Premier MD3, which is their mid-range. I love the MD3. The flight numbers are 5602. And then Meridian Discs has the Altitude, which looks like a distance driver. Again, links for that will be down below. Some recent and upcoming releases. We had Trash Panda announce the Super Procyon, which dropped Thursday, June 18th. So if you're interested in that, go check that out. DGA announced their 2026 Tour Series available as of June 19th, so this last Friday, and those being the Hurricane for Andrew Marweed, the Hypercane for Andrew Miranda, the Rift for Eliezer Mittling, the Aftershock for Cole Redolan, the Sail for Katrina Allen, the Tsunami for Jake Mon, and the Blast for Sullivan Tipton. So if you want to support them, check those out. And then Discraft had a couple. June 19th, again, Friday, the Paige Pierce Joy dropped. And then they also recreated, thanks to Nate Doss, because he asked them to do an update, a new version of it, the ESP Flash. So if that is still available on their website or wherever you can find it, go pick that up. And last but not least, the most important item of your disc golf gear, your shoes. Check out Vessi or Idio Sports. They are both waterproof and lightweight shoes. It basically comes down to your personal preference and whether or not you like a Zero style sole or not, but go check them out. Those links will be down below. As for upcoming events, we have June 26th to 28th, the 2026 Swedish Open, a DGPT event in Borås, Sweden, and then July 3rd to 5th, the 2026 Ale Open, DGPT event in Knoll, Sweden. And then again, I'm going to be putting this out there every show until we hit it. September 19th, the Paul Macbeth Foundation has the Global, which is another big event, a worldwide event. So more information to come on that. Brings us to the mailbag where we give you some products and videos to consume. If you've already consumed them, check them out again. If not, check it out. As for products, we got some gear from Buckets Disc Golf, and that being this. So they've got some patches, they've got some lanyards, some minis, and most importantly, jerseys. And I'll do you a quick little ombre action, lightweight, breathable, very comfortable. I love the fit of this. I'm definitely going to be wearing this out to some future rounds, if not all of my rounds, but very comfortable, stylish. Yeah, so if you're in the market for a new jersey for your tournaments, whether it's something that you just want to sport to support disc golf and these up and coming companies, BucketsDG.com is our website. Link will be down below. The jerseys do run about $70 to $75. So go check out all their different colors and styles. They have long sleeves and short sleeves, but they're, again, super comfortable. Not only that, go check them out. Follow them on IG and Facebook, Instagram, Facebook. For those in the Santa Maria, California area, check out Buckets League on Mondays and Thursdays at Waller Park or Waller Pines Disc Golf Course, which is the number 9 rated course in California. Shout out to BucketsDG. Good gear. Check them out. As for the video, we've got a couple I wanted to share here. The first being, again, Out of Production Podcast, episode 2 with Sam Ferrens. Super awesome. I'm sure you've probably seen some snippets on the socials, but go check that podcast out. And then also, I just uploaded on Father's Day me unboxing with my kids the Brixton DGPT hobby box that I had. Got a massive pull out of that. At least I feel like it's a massive pull, but go check it out, and I'll probably link it at the end of this show. Again, that link will also be in the notes below. Well, that brings us to the end of the show, guys. I really do appreciate everything. As always, this is where we give you some ways to save some money. If you're in the market for a bag, go to Upper Park Disc Golf. You can use code DiscGolfShow, save some money there. Again, big shout out to Disc Golf Deals USA. Go to discgolfdealsusa.com/discgolfshow. Save 10% off your entire order. Bags, carts, clothes, baskets, maybe a stack of practice putters, large disc order. That 10% adds up. Save it while you can. And again, shop local when you can. Shout out to our local pro shop, Final 9 Sports. If you're in Northern California, Sacramento area, they have 2 locations, one in Orangevale and one in Rockland. If you do have any items that you'd like me to include on an upcoming episode, feel free to email me, discgolfshow@gmail.com. More than happy to share the information. And yeah, hit that subscribe, notifications, the like, and the share, all the goods. I really do appreciate it. I hope you have a blessed day, and I will see you next week.